Once you have all of the individual tracts accounted for in the segment, it's now time to get ready to submit the entire segment. You'll notice over on the right-hand side in the status that I have tract B is no longer in the segment, and remember they were replaced by tract G. All of the individual tracts accounted for, the ones that are listed here as my ags, I could go back in and review the data, but I cannot update it after I've submitted it. The ones that are non-ag will have their POIDs grayed out. In order to submit the entire segment, I first must click on the summary button. The summary button is going to let me know what I have accounted for in here, that the screeners have been completed and that the tract records have been completed. I also need to check to see whether I have accounted for all of my acres in the segment. My RADA is a little low, which tells me that maybe I have one operation that I should have been going a little bit bigger with, or maybe I'm missing a non-ag tract. So before I submit this segment, I am going to add some extra waste in public areas to the segment. It looks like I'm about 35 acres off, or let's say 40 acres off from where I should be. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to add one more new non-ag tract to this segment. And again, I'm just making this up. It adds a new line. I have to click back on the screener. We'll say that we have here, I have to put a new name, Town of Orford. And we'll just enter this information in here. We don't have much that we can add, but we can fix it there. Is there anything agricultural? No, 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 and no, and no. How many acres are inside the lines? We're going to say it's 40 acres, and I will type in a description here that will say this is a gravel pit, town garage, general equipment, and waste. Does it have agricultural potential? No. And then looking at my list, we're going to call this obvious non-ag. I suppose we could call it government land, but I'll just call it obvious non-ag. And I will submit the survey. I need to wait for all of the data to make it all the way submitted before I can do everything here. Those numbers are going to go down to 0, and we won't have any more data to submit. Once I've added my last tract, I can go to my summary and I can see that the sum of the reported acres is now really, really close to the 634. I have 3 ag tracts. I have 4 non-ag tracts. I don't have any PIGA tracts, which we don't have in this region, for 7 total tracts. We have 632.6, which is very, very close to the actual digitized acres. My RADA ratio is very close to 100. So I can submit this segment. Am I sure I'd like to submit the segment? I hit OK, and you will see on the gray bar that the status of the segment is complete. Also, once you've submitted the segment, if I click on the summary, you'll notice that Submit Segment button has disappeared. And that is how we're going to account for an entire segment.